Hello everyone, this is Mr. Taylor. Hope you are all doing well. I'm sorry that I was forced to transition class online from yesterday. Unfortunately, I've succumbed to a mild illness and I'm contagious the next few days and did not want to risk exposing Nicole nor any of you all with any symptoms. So this just seemed to work out better for everyone, myself included. And so what I want to do first is cover a little bit of some administrative updates about class, where class goes from here. And then just to give you a little bit of information on midterm grades, and then talk a little bit more about career development, major exploration, and connect you to some resources that you can actually use. We're about at that time where you all are going to start engaging in academic advising appointments with your professional advisors or faculty advisors. And part of that will be not only building your schedule for next semester, how to register, but to discuss your grades and to also discuss your major and to ensure if that major is the right fit, that it's congruent with what you want to do career-wise and the lifestyle you want to have post-college. We talked about this very succinctly in one class session, but I wanted to provide some more in-depth information to correlate with your advising appointment since this content is so important. So for this module, since it's online, to be counted as present, you will watch the videos posted and you'll complete the assignment. If you watch the video in its entirety and you complete the assignment, you will be counted as present for that class. The due date for the assignment will be by our next class, next Wednesday before 4 o'clock p.m. Now, it's important to note I will be tapping into Canvas Analytics. I can emulate the user experience. I can go in and see what you've clicked on, what buttons you've clicked on, how much time you stayed on each page. The same for video. So I'm going to be monitoring to make sure everyone has actually watched the video and not started it and just clicked through it. All right. So that's all that's going to happen with this module. Pretty easy. Peer mentor sessions will continue as normal. So just continue referring to communication from Nicole as she disseminates it. I know you all have a chat going on. If you have any questions, of course, with anything, feel free to get in touch with her. She's your best resource in the class, but also email me. I'm going to be holding a few online office hours also, since I'm going to be out the next few weeks, and that way you have a resource you can connect with me if you need to as well. It's important to know that you have to complete 8 of the peer mentor sessions total. So make sure you're going to any of the offerings that Nicole is offering for those sessions and be sure you're completing those 8. Also, before next Wednesday, you'll have to complete asynchronous module 4, which is research boot camp before class. So in total, you'll watch the videos, complete the assignment for the online class, and then complete the asynchronous module before next class. In terms of my attendance, I'm actually going to be out next week. I'm out for an operation. I'll be out of state for the entire week. However, we're still holding class. I'm going to have a guest speaker come in and address the Grit and Perseverance in College module. I am still working to get a guest speaker to come in and hold class during that date. So make sure you're there. We will be closely monitoring attendance, and also make sure that you're attentive when we have a guest speaker coming in, taking their time to talk to you. The person who comes in next Wednesday will likely be from higher administration, a dean, someone that's in a higher level position. And so we talked about being mindful of your behavior and professionalism before. That's particularly important for this next class. Make sure you're attentive, your head's not down, you're engaging, you're asking questions. It's really important to do that for this next class, as it is in any other class. The following week, the 19th, after you all have fall break, we will actually have our final synchronous class meeting. It'll be the last date we meet in class, and we're going to discuss academics, building a schedule, how do you register for classes, a little bit about degree completion, navigate, and being able to manage all of the academic side of planning. And this is going to correlate with your academic advising appointments. We usually start academic advising right around the 2nd or 3rd week in October, and it usually runs all the way through until registration. And so hopefully this will be congruent with those advising appointments so you have the information you need and all the materials and resources you need to be able to handle advising and planning for next semester. Another note, the Dropbox for the second Success Coach meeting is now open. It's due by November 4th. So even though we're not meeting in our regular class, you still have to do your peer mentor sessions. You still have to do this second Success Coach meeting. You submit it in the same way. You will just have to go meet with your success coach, take a picture, and upload that to the Dropbox. Also, remember, you have to do the 4 lyceums by the end of the semester. Most of you all have already done most of these. And so all you have to do is go to this Dropbox. You can find it under assignments or in modules at the bottom, and then attach a screenshot showing your percentage of completion for your lyceums. If you have questions about that, just email me and I can show you what to do. But just keep in mind, even though after the 19th, we will no longer physically meet, that all of these other assignments are due. And so you still have to take care of those. All right. The next thing I want to point out is an announcement I just posted regarding midterm grades. They are due by instructors on 10/7, so that's this coming Friday by the end of the day. This is a great time to pump the brakes and assess your performance in all of your classes, what you need to do, really strategize how you want to end the semester on a strong note. So what happens, all instructors are required to submit midterm grades where your grade actually stands by the end of the day Friday. One thing I want to point out is you should have a midterm grade for every course in which you're currently enrolled. And so sometimes you might see that you're missing a midterm grade for a course. Always try to give instructors an extra day or two, even though they're due by the 7th. Usually it's a busy time, and sometimes instructors are trying to go back and evaluate everyone's performance in order to submit by Friday. So if you don't see a midterm grade for a class after probably Sunday or so after this Friday, I would reach out to your instructor and inquire about the status of their entering your midterm grade. It's important that you know your grades for each class. As soon as instructors enter your grade in WinLink, it will show up in real time. So what I like to tell students and advisees is to make sure that you're looking at WinLink, looking at your grades throughout the day, because instructors may be submitting throughout the day on Friday. This is a great opportunity to cross-reference Canvas, what your grades are in Canvas or your own records that you may be keeping, and what is being entered by professors as your official midterm grades in WinLink. If there's a discrepancy, it's time to schedule office hours or to meet with your instructor and discuss what's happening, the discrepancy, the reason your grade is what it is. There might be something you're not aware of. Sometimes there can be an error in the entering of your midterm grade. Always talk to your professor first. That's the big thing. Keep this in mind too. October 27th, by the end of the business day, 5 o'clock Eastern, is the last day to withdraw from classes. If you feel like you're not doing well in a course, or you've been struggling and you don't know if you can finish the last few major assignments or papers or labs or whatever the case may be, this is the last date by which you can pull out of an individual course with a grade of W denoted on your transcripts. And so you'll remember we have add drop at the beginning of the semester, so you can rearrange and adjust your schedule without any kind of impact on your transcript. After that add drop period, the last opportunity to pull out of a class is this deadline here, October 27th. And if you don't pull out of the course, there's no other opportunity to get out of the course at that point, which means you have to deal with the implications of whatever final grade is that you get in each of your courses. As I've always mentioned, your first step is to always go to your professor first. If you think you might withdraw, go to the professor first. They may offer extra credit. They may offer you an opportunity to resubmit certain assignments. I'm not saying that's the standard. I'm just saying professors are willing to and more inclined to give you the benefit of the doubt of certain things if you go and talk to them first. So I would recommend using office hours. The next thing you'll have to do is tap into the other members of your dream team, so your success coach and, of course, your academic advisor, and let them know of your intent to withdraw from a certain course. Let them know what the class is, how many credits it is, and then they will go through and make sure that it's a smart decision to make. So keep in mind, with withdrawing, there are financial implications and other implications. So if you're an athlete, for instance, to retain eligibility, you have to remain at a certain level of credits. You have to earn certain grades in those courses. It's absolutely imperative you meet with your advisor and your success coach to discuss withdrawing before you do it. After you have all those conversations and you still feel as if withdrawing is the best thing to do, you have the autonomy to make that decision. You own this process. You own your academics. You can go to this form here. This is the course withdrawal form on the registrar's office page, and complete this form. It just asks for your ID number, if you're an athlete, if you're receiving GI or veteran benefits, if you're under a visa, and if you're going to graduate. So it's kind of a fail-safe built into this form that we check these things, or that the registrar and your advisor checks these things when you submit the form. What happens, the form goes to your instructor of that course, and then it will also go to, you'll get a copy, and it'll go to your advisor, and then finally to the registrar's office, and they will pull you out of the course. I always say it's a good best practice to email your professor and let them know that you intend to withdraw for whatever reason in a professional format. Utilize a professional email like we've discussed in class. It's just a good thing to do so the instructor is and can be on the lookout for your withdrawal form. And, it's just something that I think is nice. And sometimes, an instructor will see that and might invite you to have a conversation about your grade before you withdraw. So I would just encourage you to do that. One thing I always get questions about, especially from incoming students or new freshmen, is a concern of what a grade of W looks like on your transcript. It's really important to know, for those of you who are pursuing graduate school or medical school or whatever the case may be, a W on your transcript has no impact whatsoever on your GPA. All it does is denotes that you were in a class and withdrew from that class. All universities across the country and across the world offer withdrawals. It is very common for students to withdraw because life happens. Things happen. And the average, at least in the United States, is undergraduate students withdrawing from about 5 classes throughout the entirety of their undergraduate tenure. So usually 5. Now, I'm not encouraging you to withdraw from 5 classes, because keep in mind, you have to have 15 or so credits each semester to graduate on time. But it does nothing to your GPA. It does not look bad for graduate schools. I go through transcripts all the time for PA admissions, and sit on committees, admission committees for PT, OT. We always expect students to withdraw. In fact, sometimes it looks better in a way than to have a negative impact on your GPA. It shows that you utilize the resources available to you and were able to withdraw. Again, sorry, I'm short of breath. Again, if you do withdraw, you need to make sure you don't go below 12 credits. 12 credits is full-time student status. Once you go below the 12, that's when you start having financial aid, scholarship, eligibility issues. So make sure you stay around 15 credits, and in the future you stay in 15 or so credits, so that you do have time, you have a window that you can withdraw and still stay at that minimum credit requirement for full-time status. So that you have to keep all this stuff in mind. And also remember, if you withdraw from something, you're eventually going to have to pick it up later. Whether that's a summer class or overloading one semester, you have to get in the total 120 to 125 or 6 credits, depending on your major, to earn your degree. Also, be sure after your midterm grades are posted that you tap into your resources, i.e. the Academic Resource Center, tutoring, the Writing Center, most importantly, professor's office hours. This is the time to, like I said, develop your game plan and figure out and determine what you need to do to finish the semester strong. So that's all I have. One other note of clarity: your midterm grades do not affect your GPA. They are just an indicator of where you're going, how you're doing in that class. And your actual GPA is not determined until all of your final grades are entered at the end of the semester. So if you see your midterm grades and you see C's down the line, you don't have a 2.0. Your GPA is 0 right now, unless you have transfer credit, until those final grades are entered. So it's just an indicator. It's something the university puts in place so that you have an idea of how you're doing in each of your classes.